I am here with Fernando Bleichmar, CEO of Risepoint, live on the ground at ASU GSV. It's a particularly exciting meeting location.
Right.
We're
This
in
location, particularly, yes,
we're in the Whiteboard VW bus.
uh,
Thank you, Fernando, for making the trek
of
to
course, of
the
course.
Starbucks parking lot.
Yes.
It should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to hear what you're up to, what Risepoint is up
Hmm.
to, and how the OPM market is moving.
Yeah,
But before we get that, I'd love just to hear about your career
yeah.
and how you ended up as the CEO.
So I've been at RisePoint now 4 years. Um, Before that, I was at a company called Cengage, those education solutions and materials. And how I got there and here, before that, I was doing nursing education, but it all started with my parents. They were doctors in Mexico, and they started offering certificates. And then the certificates, people asked them, "Hey, can I turn this into a degree?" And they said, "Oh, well, I guess we got to figure out how to offer a degree." And that was 35 years ago. And a school was born in the back of my house. And I started working with them when I was like 14, 15. And I'm still working with them on the school. So that ignited my passion
That
for
school
education.
still exists today?
School still exists.
Oh, that's so cool.
Around 1,000 students, community clinic, a lot of services, 2 campuses. And yeah, that's my weekend. That's my weekend gig. But that ignited my passion for education. And I, when I came to the States and I started working, the idea was, how can I have that same level of impact through education, but at scale?
Yeah.
So what I've been looking is opportunities to scale the impact of education. And that's, I think, what RisePoint does really well.
Cool. And of course, our paths crossed at Cengage,
Yeah.
which was super fun. And my introduction to your way of thinking and like what I've always appreciated is how you translate like business principles and impact principles into one place. And I think Risepoint is super emblematic of that, of like you guys are the champions in my mind for particularly regional universities and which I don't think get enough attention as really the economic engines of a lot of America,
Yeah.
frankly. And I think also true around the world, but
Yes.
you guys are obviously focused here.
Yeah.
So could you just say a little bit about like what Risepoint is just at base level,
Yeah.
so folks have an understanding?
Yeah, so at the most basic, we focused on helping regional universities build and expand their presence and their impact in their communities through online education. So if you're a school that has a very small online presence or you have no online presence, you need capital, you need expertise. How do I offer the programs? What type of programs? What should I offer? What's local to my community that matters? And then you need all the change management of how do I get my faculty there? How do I launch the programs, etc. So we do all that work with our partners. And then once the programs are set up, then we do all the work to help find and deliver the right type of students for the school. And then we help with retention services for those students. So that's kind of an end-to-end partner solution where what we like to do is, or how we like to think about it is, there's this world of mega online universities, and for a regional university, which is really important for that community and has a unique value of how it's local and connected to that employer base, it's hard to compete.
Yeah.
So we bring the scale and the expertise. I like to tell people that are outside of education that think of it a little bit like a Shopify model,
Yeah.
where we help the smaller universities compete with the mega retailers.
Just to like sort of pick on the Shopify model,
Yeah.
that, like one of the biggest things they provided is, your average snowboarding shop couldn't build an online store,
Mhm.
right? They knew snowboards and
Yeah.
they knew K2 and Burton and Rossignol,
Right.
et cetera, but like they didn't know anything about the internet.
Yes.
And that's sort of the genesis of Shopify, is
Yeah.
providing that. What is it for regional universities, which similarly have been around for a long time, just
Mhm.
like most small businesses or even mid and large size businesses? What were they missing, and what are the specific types of things that you guys are able to provide at scale
Yeah.
to help them compete against the megas?
So at the beginning, it was kind of the same. They were missing, how do I move online? How do I market to students online? How do I talk to students about online? How do I go from maybe in on-ground I'm teaching 2 starts a year to 6 starts a year? How do I change my whole schedule? How do I build courses? And for many schools, that's still what they're solving for, and that's still what we're helping them. And now it's becoming more and more sophisticated.
Yeah.
How do I compete with other schools that also offer online programs? How do I adapt my programs to the world of AI? How do I start thinking of what else should I offer beyond the usual programs? So the services keep evolving as the market keeps evolving.
We should probably dig in a little bit on AI.
Yeah.
What is it like? I've heard on one hand that there's been a reckoning in like the SEO market, and it's really hard to compete.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have like program demand is probably changing because students are like, well, do I still need business? Does business look different?
Yes.
Like, where are you seeing the most questions from schools?
I think it's in 3 areas. One area is, how do I position my school and my programs in a new discovery world?
Okay.
Right? It used to be that you and I would go and type in Google, best school in Texas for nursing. Well, now the world is changing in which search, which is what people think of, ends up being almost like a link in a directory.
Yeah.
I already did all my discovery. I already came up to the answer. Now I just got to find the link.
Yeah.
So more and more of the activity of discovery is happening through AI, through trusted content, through references. And universities need to move from the world of placing words in Google to the world of content creation, discovery, positioning. So that's one area.
Yeah.
Let's call that marketing evolution.
And you'll like build content for a university?
We'll help them build content, and we'll help them, how do you place the content, how do you update the content, etc. And I mean marketing content, to be clear, not curriculum. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
The second point is, okay, now a student is interested. That's normally a 6 to 9 month process of application, conversations, etc. Well, that needs to change too.
Yeah.
Right? So the way the world works today is kind of, remember the old days when you would call Domino's to get a pizza, right? And you would call and you would wait, and then it was muffled, and then like they would get the pizza wrong. And well, that's still how that process on like enrollment still works a lot. It's like I call someone or someone calls me and I talk to them, and people are like, well, the world has changed. So I really want to interact with some sort of AI that helps me think through this. But, and this is the part that everybody misses, I want it to be connected into my experience. Meaning, I want to understand from AI, is this program right for me? All these questions I have. But then when I really want to have a very specific question or really want to make a decision, I want to talk to someone. Because I trust a person
to make the final call.
And to help me think through the final call.
Yeah.
So the example I like to use is, if you want to lose weight, if you go to AI and you say, I'm going to lose weight, your commitment and your support is very different than if you tell
a person,
your wife or your friend or someone,
that's super
hey,
true.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you adjust that student journey through enrollment so that it's AI connected to people?
Yeah. Well, and I would imagine even during that process, there are different times when I want to talk to a person and when I'm like, actually, I kind of want the robot right now.
Exactly.
And that changes.
Yes. So we're starting to deploy a lot of solutions. So one example is, if your question is a question like, when do things start, right? Yeah. Let's call it a level 1 question. A bot is perfectly fine.
Sure.
But then we were looking at the transcript of someone that said, hey, I took a class in Brazil. I want to see if I could get credit for this. That's a very hard question for an AI agent to answer.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you escalate at the right moment to the right person to talk? So that's the second area. So we talked about the marketing area. Let's call this the student journey, kind of from inquiry to enrollment. And then the third area is the actual product itself, the actual product. program, I mean. And the questions are, what should I offer?
Sure.
Right? How do I offer it? How do I build it? And also, how do I train my faculty and how do I support my faculty to teach it?
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of regional universities, you still want to learn accounting. You still want a local faculty that is great at accounting and that understands your local
Might
needs.
know some of the accounting employers.
Knows the employers, knows where you work, knows maybe there's local laws or tax laws, or
Sure.
all of that, yeah. Except now you're trying to figure out, how do I use AI when I'm doing my job?
Yeah.
And that, it's hard to scale for over 100 partners we work with over 1,000 faculty per partner.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to try to figure it out. So we're doing a lot of training, a lot of AI solutions for the faculty, or AI solutions that can help the student, but in connection to the faculty.
Yeah.
So those are the three areas where we're working, and it's very early days. And anyone that says that they've solved it, it's very, very early days, because it has to be connected to the experience.
Yeah. Well, and it shifts, I imagine, for every student and every partner.
Exactly. And very different if you're trying to become a grad, like a master's in education in upstate New York, than if you're trying to do a healthcare program with clinical hours in Southeast Texas. Very, very different experience. So it has to be very customized to the local experiences.
Understanding that it is going to be relatively local for most universities, as you think about like what leads to success over the next 10, 15 years for a regional university, what are some of the key characteristics that you would pick out? I guess you could identify it for leadership, but also like structurally that might be able to survive different leadership transitions, that you look for as, you know, Risepoint is looking to do 10 plus year, not in the same way that 10-year partnerships used to happen, but you know, most of your partners, I think you want to be long-term partners.
What we're looking for is, first of all, true partners.
Yeah.
So the world is changing at a speed that you need someone that understands that a public-private partnership is a success model, a successful model, and not a temporary like vendor relationship.
Sure.
Right? If I have someone that's like, hey, can you do marketing for me? Like, that's not what we're about here. We're about joint multi-year relationships, joint outcomes, making sure we get the right students, making sure those students succeed. So first we look for real partnerships. And then we look for institutions that have this core idea of focusing on their local model and to innovate out of the traditional constraints. So when we look at a president that's like saying, hey, how do I build career connected programs?
Sure.
How do I market or different, given that I'm in this region, that I'm seeing this, or where should I focus my programs, etc. That's exciting because the big advantage of regional universities is the regional part. The big advantage is knowing your market better than anyone, connecting to your students better than anyone, connecting to your employers better than anyone. So that has to be the secret sauce.
Can we just like, and maybe to wrap up here, this is a conversation we've had a couple of times, but like, why is education regional? Like everything else I feel like in my life, for better or for worse, ends up being, you know, scaled products, right? It is my Facebook is global. My, you know, grocery store is national at the very least. Like, what is it about education that makes it more regional?
So most of the things that you're thinking about have scalable infrastructures with regional use cases.
Okay.
So when you say my Facebook is global, not really. The platform is global, but most of the people you interact with are people that
are newbie,
that are close to you or that you touch base with.
Yeah.
So think of it as also radio. Why do people prefer local radio? Well, you prefer local radio because they tell you there's an event this Sunday where you're going to walk by and they tell you and they speak the way you want to speak. And they, like, yes, there's more country music stations in the Southeast than there is in the Northeast.
San Francisco doesn't have a country station.
That's a good example.
I miss it.
So most of us are living in communities and are looking for connection. And when you do survey with online students, and we just released the Voice of the Online Learner, what you see more and more is people want to stay local because they want that connection.
Yeah.
They want that connection with the places they work. They want that connection with the alumni and students in the area. They want that connections with the brands that they recognize.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to the Northeast and you say, hey, I went to Texas State, people probably don't even know what you're talking about. If you go to Texas and you say I went to Fitchburg State, people don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But within your region, in your hospital where you're working, and you're going to get that next degree to move from being a floor nurse to being a specialized nurse, all the people in the hospital know that school. Most of them went to that school. So the local community is very important.
Yeah. I think that's a great note to end on. Just the fundamental principle that we live in local communities, and as much as the tech industry loves to talk about scale, there is this really human element that on some level is like sort of nice to say, like, yeah, it does boil down to community at the end of the day, and you can operate as you guys do a large business while still acknowledging that people want to live and work and be educated in their community.
Yeah, because the fundamental question that you're asking is, why do regional universities exist?
Yes.
And my point of view, and I'm a strong believer in this, otherwise I wouldn't work where I work. My strong point of view is that it is a richer education for the student, and it's a very important pillar of a community to have a thriving local community where people are growing, learning, participating, rather than everybody just taking one national thing and do it in their house and then not being part of a community.
Yeah. To me, that resonates. Thank you. I appreciate you making the time.
My pleasure.